Hi everyone, I'm Stacy with the Obsidian Realty Group. I'm here today with Troy Downing, who's running for Montana's State Auditor position. Today we're going to be discussing how the decisions made in the State Auditor's office affect the real estate industry.
Thanks.
So as it relates to those of us in real estate in Bozeman and in Montana, what does the State Auditor do that would affect us directly as far as how it affects title companies and lenders and different insurance costs?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And that's a good question because the Commissioner of Insurance is regulating all things insurance in the state of Montana. So it's not just your auto insurance, your health insurance, workman's comp, but it's property and casualty. It's your homeowner's insurance. It's your title insurance. For the real estate industry, you've got a couple of things where this affects you. First of all, we talked about title insurance and understanding what's available, making sure that that is a vibrant industry with competition so that you have choices, so that your clients have choices, and so that they understand what the difference is and what the risks are on quality versus price. The second part is on just property insurance. Making sure that we have a vibrant industry so that when somebody is buying that home, that first-time buyer, so that they're understanding what they're buying and what they're not, whether they need to buy flood insurance, whether what their hail insurance risks are, and whether that's something that they need to purchase. And the whole other segment of the market that really needs some attention right now are those more expensive real estate purchases. So this is not your first-time buyer, but somebody that's buying a high-value home in a high-risk area. So, like a PC-10 area, which is, a place that has, fire risk and is not close to a fire station. And if you're getting into the multi-million-dollar range there's a lot of insurers that are just pulling out of the market because they don't want to take that risk. And, for obvious reasons, we just saw, 2 weeks ago, Bridger Canyon, burned down and horribly, I think it was 28 houses lost there. So the insurance companies, they see that triggers this natural recoil of not wanting to insure homes in high-risk areas. In this office, it's about finding solutions. It's about finding ways of mitigating that, making it easy for businesses to do business in Montana so that your consumers have options when they're putting together that entire idea of this real estate purchase and all those parts, how I'm going to insure it, how I'm going to finance it, how I'm going to protect my title on it, all those things. The title, the insurance falls under the purview of the Commissioner of Insurance.
You were endorsed by RPAC, which is the Realtor Political Action Committee. Can you tell us a little bit about how the State Auditor's position interacts with the Montana Department of Labor and Industry?
Well, one of the things, and I think I've mentioned it here today, that's really important to me is communication, interaction, education. I think that constantly having conversations with everybody involved. And I think that's why I've been supported by so many organizations, because I get out there and I actually talk to the folks. So the short answer to your question is communication is, in my opinion, of paramount importance. And not just to industry, but interagency communication, legislative communication, executive branch communication, to make sure that we have as much information as we can to make the right decisions that affect positively everybody in Montana. And just getting back to the order of operations in this office is, first of all, making sure we're protecting Montana consumers. We want to help you thrive. We want to help you get what you need to offer better product to Montana consumers, better priced product to bring competition in. And all of that depends on communication, not just with the good people of Montana, but with industry and interagency. So that will be a big part of my administration.
So how does the State Auditor, the decisions made in the State Auditor's office affect buyers and sellers directly?
Well, the way it affects buyers and sellers directly is in real estate. Obviously, you have at least 2 points of contact with the insurance industry. Virtually every buyer is going to require some sort of title insurance, so that falls under our purview. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, virtually every buyer is going to insure their property. So there's 2 points of contact. So the way that my office, this administration, will affect them is by promoting competition, choices, having better pricing that's driven down by competition. That's the first part. The second part is education. What I want to see in this office is resources, reference materials, so that a first-time buyer who's never had to deal with this before knows what questions to ask, knows what they're buying, knows what the risks are in choice A versus choice B. What I'd like to do in this is take a lot of the load off of your shoulders on trying to educate them on these standard things that every one of your buyers is going to have to deal with, and give them the resources so that they can start asking the right questions and make sure that they make the right decisions for protecting their property, protecting their title. So I think that is something that will directly affect your industry.
What are the factors that you'll consider when you're considering a rate change?
That's a great question. One of the things that I really want to push, both on the educational side and on the regulatory side, is I think it's important that we have actuarial reality when setting prices. And what that means is that the premium is commensurate with the actual risk. What's important to me is you understand insurance is a business. And it charges a premium, and it has a certain amount of risk that it may pay out. So that premium has to be enough to cover the claims, to have reserves in case of an extreme issue like Bridger Canyon burning down, and enough money to actually operate the business, and enough, because it is a business, to actually make some money. That's why people go into business. That's their livelihood. And so what's really important to me when setting rates is that the insurance company is really taking the factors of what the actual risks are, what the expectations are, what the extrema is, and how they reinsure that. So anytime an insurance company is talking about making a rate adjustment, I think it's of paramount importance that they can quantify and explain how that is commensurate with the actual risk. We have really good actuaries that are really good at predicting what the losses are and what a catastrophic event would be. And when we're setting rates, what my goal is to make sure that we get closer and closer to what that actuarial reality is for setting that premium.
And would you say that it's safe to say that another reason to make sure that you keep costs lower when you're running a business is so that you don't have to pass that raised cost on to the consumer? Would you say that is correct or incorrect? That typically, when an overhead cost increase, that it's generally passed on to the consumer?
Well, obviously, what I think is really important is understanding what you're buying and what you're not buying. Mm-hmm. Because you can cut your premium down really low by reducing the risk really low. So you decide, hey, I don't want hail coverage, I don't want flood insurance, I don't want this. You start cutting these things out. Or I want really high deductibles. That cuts the risk down for the insurance company, so there should be a commensurate reduction in your premium.
Right.
But what I think is really important, and what I want to see in my office, is that we produce educational materials, reference materials, so people understand what the give and take is. A prime example that we've seen in the COVID pandemic is insurance for business interruption insurance. For an example there was a company, it's probably been 20 years, I'm guessing, plus or minus, that offered an all-peril business interruption insurance program, but the risk was so high, that pushed the premium so high, that nobody was willing to buy it.
Okay.
So what I think is important in that whole schema is that the consumer understands and makes a decision for themselves, what risk they're willing to take. And the levers you have are high deductibles, low deductibles, or not having certain coverages, because that changes the risk, which allows the insurance company to still be able to cover those claims at a lower premium.
Well, Troy, thank you so much for being here. You've given us some great information, and I really appreciate you coming.
Well, thanks, Stacy. Thanks to you. Thanks to Obsidian. As I started this off with, the communication's important. I want you to hear from me what I care about, what I want to see in this office. I think there's a tremendous opportunity to do a lot of good for every Montanan, and I really appreciate the effort that you've made to allow me to get my message out.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank
Thanks.
you.